The human body is a walking, talking, chemical processing facility. The structures of our body, that is, our anatomy, are made of chemicals. And the functions our body performs, that is, our physiology, involve chemical reactions. The raw material, the chemicals to build these structures and perform these functions, come from outside of the body. We must process these outside chemicals into forms that we can use. In general, there are 7 categories of nutrients that we need to have in our diet, each of which performs a function or a variety of functions that are vital to the way our bodies work. The nutrients we need include carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids, vitamins, minerals, and water. Like I said, each of these does some kind of function or functions that make them necessary to us. Like carbohydrates can be an energy source for the body when we're dealing with small monosaccharides like glucose, or they can serve as short-term energy storage in larger forms like glycogen. Carbohydrates can also do a number of other important jobs, like serve as antigens to help us tell self from non-self kinds of cells. Lipids, on the other hand, are better for long-term energy storage, but we also use lipids to build our steroid-based hormones, as well as build phospholipids to make the plasma membranes that go around all of our cells. Proteins are great for building structures, but they also serve as enzymes, meaning they catalyze chemical reactions and help those reactions happen at a fast enough rate to be useful for the body. We also build some of our hormones out of proteins as well. Nucleic acids are good for storing information. Our DNA and RNA store the information for how to build proteins and how to build structures. In addition to that, a specific nucleic acid called ATP is the direct energy source for the body. Vitamins generally serve as coenzymes, meaning we need vitamins in order to either complete the structure of an enzyme or to help an enzyme complete its job. Those enzymes are making chemical reactions happen in the body, so without these vitamins, without these coenzymes, those chemical reactions wouldn't happen. Minerals can also serve as coenzymes or cofactors, meaning they can help us build or complete the physical structures of other things. For example, we need iron to complete the structure of hemoglobin. Minerals can also serve as other structural components, like the calcium we find in our bones and our teeth. And minerals can be the charged particles that make electrical activity possible in our nervous and muscular systems. The last nutrient on our list here is water. And water is really important because it's the polar solvent that allows us to dissolve and move the other chemicals that are on this list. For example, if we want to move glucose, a carbohydrate, up to our brain to serve as an energy source, we need a way to get that glucose there. Glucose dissolves in water, water makes up most of our blood, and so that glucose can circulate through our bloodstream up to our brain to serve as an energy source. Most of the time, when we take chemicals into the system, we take them in a large form that we can't actually use. For example, when we eat dairy products, we may take in a disaccharide called lactose. Lactose is too large to absorb across the lining of our intestines, get into our blood, and circulate. In order to use lactose, we need to use an enzyme to digest it into smaller chemicals, into 2 different monosaccharides called galactose and glucose. Now that we have digested that disaccharide into the smaller forms of monosaccharides, we can absorb these, get them through the lining of the intestines into the blood, and circulate them to serve as an energy source inside of the body. We need to do this same digestive process for most of the chemicals that we take in. When we eat proteins, we need to break them down to amino acids. When we eat large lipids, we have to break them down into fatty acids. When we eat nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, we have to break them down into their building blocks called nucleotides. Because we're taking in these large chemicals and we have to process them into these forms that we can actually use, there are a number of processes that have to happen for digestion. The first is called ingestion. That's taking foodstuffs into the digestive system. The next is a mechanical breakdown process. That is, breaking that foodstuff into smaller and smaller pieces, and more importantly, increasing the surface area while we do so. After we've broken those things down, we start a propulsion process of moving it down through the rest of the digestive system. As it moves, most of it will be digested. That is, enzymes will break chemicals into even smaller chemical components that we can get into the body. Here's where that mechanical breakdown was so important. The more surface area we create, the faster this chemical digestion can happen. And once we've digested those chemicals, we can finally absorb them through the lining of the intestines into our bloodstream and circulate them so we can use them. Anything that we could not digest eventually leaves the body during defecation. The digestive system is largely charged with all the processing of these chemicals that we were just talking about. With so many chemicals to process, the digestive system is large and complex. We'll take a brief look at the organs of the digestive system in our next video.